Hey everybody, this is episode 121 of the Paper Robots podcast. I am your host, Logan Naugle, and this episode I'm talking about there being too many movie trailers, especially the superhero kind. You know who you are, SpiderMan, Star Wars, etc. On top of that, we'll jump into a little bit of other comic book industry news, where I'm going in comics, and much more. Let's jump right into the show. Go with the theme song. And we'll start the show off right with comic book industry news before we jump into the main topic, which is going to be movie trailers and movie releases. So in the comic book industry side of things, a few announcements have been made over the past few weeks, and I just wanted to touch on them, talk about them briefly, and then we'll get into movies. So Brian Michael Bendis, he was almost basically an editor-in-chief at Marvel. He did a 10-year there for a while, has now moved and signed an exclusive with DC Comics. So for those of you who don't know, Brian Michael Bendis is behind Miles Morales, the Ultimate Spider-Man as a whole, bringing him all the way into the current series where he's at today. And he kind of brought Jessica Jones to her current state and really made her amazing. He's also behind books like Powers, but now he signed with DC, and I think this is actually a really good thing for DC and potentially a good thing for Marvel for a couple of reasons. But he's going to be writing Superman over there. He's talking about bringing back Jinx World and a few other things for DC. So to me, this is a good thing. I think he did really wonderful things. We're talking about doing basically the entire New Avengers run and making that like Civil War era of comics in Marvel what they were. And he did a lot of fresh things. And I think DC could use that, could use some course correction or however you want to say it. And I like the voice he's had in Marvel, and I'm excited to see what he would do with DC. Currently, I'm not reading too many of the superhero books, so this might not matter that much for me until I kind of collect a bunch of trades and read all of them. But I think it's exciting news for daily readers and everyone who's trying to stay caught up. Now, what kind of sucks is this leaves Marvel in a deeper hole with C.B. Cebulski taking editor-in-chief. He's gotten flack recently for lying about who he was to get some work early on in his career, but has done nothing but prove himself to be a solid person at Marvel. So I can't really attest to what it's like to work at Marvel or what it's like working with that person. But there's been a lot of shakeups at Marvel with different creators leaving, Brian Michael Bendis, and then Axel Alonso leaving the editor-in-chief position and CB taking it. I feel like superhero comic books as a whole are still trying to find the right formula. I guess they always are, but in my opinion, there was a prime year of books and that has come and gone. But I'm curious. Brian Michael Bendis being over at DC could be wonderful, and I'm sure I'll read all of his books at some point. Next, for comic books, the comic book Cowboy Ninja Viking is getting a movie adaptation, and it just got its director. Chris Pratt has been attached to this movie for a few years, months, and now they finally have a director, and it is Michelle McLaren, and if I'm saying the name right, but she has directed episodes of Game of Thrones, X-Files, and Breaking Bad. So finally, it seems like this movie has a really competent, solid director instead of it being a poor, weak adaptation, because it's already a crazy concept. Cowboy Ninja Viking is a covert team of super intelligent agents with split personalities. Each one of these personalities is a special set of skills. So one of the characters, Chris Pratt's character, is going to be the one who has personality of a cowboy, a ninja, and a Viking. Other characters have fashion designer, spy, something else. The art style in the book was really cool, so I hope that they're able to do something artistically with the film style, or give this movie adaptation some sort of tone and strength, just like the book has, because it is really crazy and kind of out there. I hope that it does a good job of not making it too silly or dumb or anything like that. And I think with this director, Michelle McLaren, it could have a real chance. Back into comic book industry news. Speaking of other creators like Brian Michael Bendis, Dan Slott is finally leaving Spider-Man. His last issue will be issue number 801, and he has been on Spider-Man. He's been on this book since 2008. I've been reading it way before that, and I'm ready to see a fresh face, a new voice. When they did the Marvel Now, I was like, okay, Dan Slott's probably going to pass the torch on to someone else. We're going to see Spider-Man get rewritten, maybe like Rick Remender, and see some weird, dark Spider-Man. But we didn't get it then, and it's been years. So finally in July, we'll see the passing of the baton. They haven't named the new writer as far as I know, but Dan Slott is leaving. He's had a lot of good things. Some of my favorite stuff has been with Dan Slott writing it. He's the one who killed off Dr. Octavius, but then had him switch and created the Superior Spider-Man. He's been on it since the Brand New Day arc, which is right after Mary Jane's death, back before 2008. And then he kind of took over full-time on the title in 2010. He did a lot of different types of arcs, did a lot of things with characters, a lot of long burn characters, like having the Lizard and Dr. Octopus be like these main things that were woven in and being told throughout this huge years and years of story. It's cool. I also just think I kind of knew what I was getting out of a Dan Slott Spider-Man book when I was reading it, and I'm ready to hear someone else write it. It seems like for people that don't know, Dan Slott built Spider-Man up to have Parker Industries be kind of this self-leading man. He had money, he had power, everything was going good for him. But to me, Peter Parker Spider-Man is like down and out, street level, on his luck. That's all he's got kind of thing. Backpack, no job, scraping by, and just has that winning sarcasm attitude to get through the day. And that's the Spider-Man that we're kind of being teased and promised. And I think with Dan Slott moving on, getting someone, hopefully maybe someone unheard of, a young writer, to do Spider-Man would be amazing, and just give some fresh new takes, or at least a reinventing of the status on Spider-Man. Could be a really good thing, especially with there being a new young Spider-Man in the movies. I'm not surprised that is going to be what's happening in the comics. And then lastly, before I jump into movies, there's one other kind of side tangent announcement that it made me think. So Johann Johannes, I think that's how you say his name, is a composer, and he died at age 48. He was a composer for Arrival, Mother, and The Theory of Everything. Now, Mother, controversial movie. I enjoyed it. I think there's a lot to digest. It seems like it's a movie you watch just so you can talk about it with someone else who's watched it, more than it really is about seeing the movie. There's a lot of things to talk about, and I think it talks and brings up points of controversy for deeper thinking on purpose. And then Arrival, beautifully shot film, beautifully scored film, wonderful acting, also just talking about how we perceive time and language and aliens. It's an amazing movie, and to see this compose, like, I remember the music and the atmosphere that the soundtrack and like score to Arrival like helped build that world. And so it sucks to see such a young composer who was probably only going to continue to add to the movie soundtrack universe, to see him gone. And they haven't released why, so I can't comment on that. But it's a real shame. I mean, you have people like Danny Elfman and Hans Zimmer who really have contributed a lot to the movie universe and to soundtracks and to scores. I listen to a lot of movie scores when I'm writing or studying, or just reading, because it's stuff without lyrics, so I can just be in a feeling and in a tone. And it's a bummer to have such a young voice like this go, because there are so many filler kind of composers that don't have a voice or aren't bringing much, or they're just kind of hitting the beats like, oh, it's a minor key for this sad thing. It's like, I thought Johan had a lot going, and it's a bummer, and I hope maybe people check out more of his stuff. And if you haven't seen Arrival, I urge you to see that movie and really listen to the music that is accompanying movies. They help set everything. It's like color and ink and words in a comic. All these things build a story, and the composer is not short in that for movies. So that's all. We're going to jump into a lighter thing called trailers being my problem of the week. And let's go right to that. So, Super Bowl happened. Some sports teams played some sports ball. Some teams won, some teams lost. Points were scored. And cities rioted for no reason, because it's a game of fake points where it doesn't really matter. They're just throwing a ball and it doesn't represent anything. I like sports just fine. They're not for me, though. And to see a city riot is stupid. It's overkill. Mob mentality is a shame. But what also is a shame, see that segue? What also is a shame is during the Super Bowl, we got a lot of trailers, and I'm talking about movie trailers, mostly Marvel and comic book superhero trailers and pop sci-fi, whatever. We had Jurassic World. Just in general, I'm kind of over trailers and seeing them all the time and everything. So first, let's talk about what came out. We got new Infinity War trailer, a new Black Panther trailer. Venom got its trailer. Ant-Man and Wasp got one. Jurassic World got a new one. The Han Solo trailer. Solo got a new one. We didn't see anything from DC. I was actually surprised that there wasn't an Aquaman trailer drop to remind viewers, hey, DC's here. Hey, it's your friend DC. I know you haven't been happy with our other movies, but we have more coming. This one's called Aquaman. It's about a fish boy with a beard, kind of angry, got tattoos, but he's also like, pow. Nope, no trailer for that. So that was like swing and a miss for them, I think. But I want to talk about the things I did like before I talk about the things that I think need to be improved with trailers in general. So, Black Panther, let's talk about that. Trailers have looked phenomenal. They're refreshing. It's really great, especially in contrast to seeing the Infinity War and Ant-Man trailers, which I felt, of course, Infinity War, you're excited because it's all the superheroes. It looks cool. Thor's probably going to get an axe made and forged by dwarves. That's cool. SpiderMan, I just want to see more of SpiderMan in everything. Just sprinkle him in like some salt in every movie. But yeah, I mean, Black Panther, the art direction and the set pieces and design in that movie look fantastic. They look amazing. Except for in New York, the CGI, it looks like all the other movies with CGI, all the superhero movies with CGI. You're like, oh, it's CGI lights and neon colors and super suits and just green screen in the city. But when we're seeing the Wakanda stuff, all those set pieces and designs are awesome. Also, we got a hint that Captain America is going to be getting a new shield, which is kind of cool. And they tease that by showing the shields that the Wakandans are going to use, and they're going to give that to Captain America. And they'll be like, that's a shield, and then he'll get another new one in the future. My prediction. But also some news leaked that the director of Black Panther, Ryan Coogler, wanted Kraven the Hunter in his movie. He, I guess, writing it and working on every script he saw, kept seeing Kraven the Hunter, which is a Sinister Six villain, and he's usually dealing with Spider-Man, but he does hunt a lot, big game in Africa, so it makes sense that he would wander into Wakanda and maybe try to hunt Black Panther. So it's not out of the realm. He has done it in the comics. It just seemed like that'd be trying to shoehorn a lot into one movie, because I'm sure they have to wink and nod to the Avengers also. But it would have been really cool to see Kraven. I know Cynthia would have been happy to see Kraven with his like sexy vest and tight pants and weird animal things all over him. But we're not getting it yet. Maybe in Spider-Man. Maybe. Probably not, though. It's Kraven. People don't really care unless you're Cynthia. Then let's see. Also, what dropped was the soundtrack for Black Panther. Just everything about this movie is fantastic. Kendrick Lamar is like producing it, is featured on a lot of the songs. Music video released as a companion with the soundtrack. It looks effing cool. Black Panther, amazing. Han Solo trailer. Let's cut to that. Let's talk about Deadpool trailer really quick. I was excited. It looks like more Deadpool. Looks like it's going to be good. To me, it looks like Stranger Things 2, where it's like, oh, can it match what everyone felt about Stranger Things season 1? Yes, it looks like it's going to do that. That's what Deadpool feels like. It feels like it's going to be on par, if not maybe better than Deadpool 1, with having Cable as like a straight man, Josh Brolin as Cable playing the straight man to foil Deadpool, I think is a really good idea. And I think that could be really, really fun. So that's all. It's out in June. I'm excited for that. It looks cool. Han Solo trailer looks like a Star Wars anthology movie. Everything looks good. It looks like a good movie. I don't necessarily need to see his origins. You know who I would want to see origins of? Donald Glover as Lando. Everyone's saying this. I'm sure the internet has already articulated it better than me. But Lando, Donald Glover, there you go. Drop it. There you have it. Put him in as Prowler in Spider-Man, Lando in Star Wars, Atlanta, Childish Gambino. Happy 2018. Make my day. Speaking of Spider-Man, this whole episode, I guess, was secretly me talking about Spider-Man, because next up is the Venom trailer. So the Venom teaser trailer, which was released after they promoted the teaser for the trailer by releasing the poster. Okay, anyway, they did that. They teased Venom. We got to see Tom Hardy narrate and be a little sad, confused, frustrated. He has a demon lurking inside him that is going to be Venom. And there's not enough to speculate about. So much speculating on this movie already. Like the back and forth of Tom Holland as Spider-Man is going to appear in this movie. Is it going to be direct continuity with Sony MCU? Blah 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 blah. I'll wait till more stuff. Till it's actually closer to coming out. It seems like this didn't show us anything. So why did it show us anything at all? Yeah, that's Venom. Moving on. Ant-Man and Wasp. It left a lot to be desired. Could have used more Wasp, considering we already know what Ant-Man can do. Could have seen more giant growing in the trailer, or just something that showed us that this movie isn't just another superhero movie with a bad guy and a good guy fighting. Like, maybe in later trailers or something they're actually going to talk a bit more about the plot. But to me, this feels like the first Ant-Man we knew was like this heist comedy movie with a shrinking abilities, and this one is more basic, and they're just using visual effects like, hey, he can shrink, and that's what you liked about the movie, so that's what you're getting. You're just getting a whole lot of shrinking and growing and shooting, and then a little bit of comedy, but it feels like it's lacking a tone, especially when we have Black Panther that has a clear tone. Thor Ragnarok had a clear tone. The first Ant-Man had its own tone. This new Ant-Man kind of looks generic. I'm hoping there was a poor first trailer, and that's why. But yeah, and then there's Jurassic World, which is like meh. It didn't leave me excited or goosebumps or anything. I enjoyed the first one. It's a good popcorn movie. This one I'll probably see also. It's dinosaurs. It's Chris Pratt. It's meh. That's a whole nother topic. The idea of just passable movies is something I want to talk about on a future episode. But this episode, we're talking about the trailers. So we'll talk about the last part of this segment, and then I'm going to get into what I'm consuming and get us all out of here. It's going to be a short episode for y'all. So, okay. After just now talking about all the different comic book movie trailers that dropped and all the things that are coming out, I'm just burned out. I'm just like over it. I'm over teasers for trailers to a movie that is like okay. So let's back up. Marketing is key, and it's important to expose a thing you're trying to sell. If I'm trying to tell people that I write comics, I might mention that on my podcast. Hey, I write comics. I have one coming out. You can see me here. It's going to be released on this date. It's about this thing. And yes, you want to remind potential consumers, customers, listeners, watchers, whatever, that you have a product and something that you're releasing. And you want to tease it. You want to build some excitement. I get that. You want to try to remind and reach people because there's the rule of like you have to repeat something 13 times to remember it, or like on average, it takes someone hearing something 13 times to remember it. So we're going to show you 130 times a trailer, and then you'll remember that it's coming out, and you'll be super excited, and you won't get burnt out at all on it, and nothing bad will ever happen, and you'll give us all your money, is what they think, maybe. So the good thing is showing, like hyping up all these movies with trailers and teasers and promotional art and leaked photos and accidental, I'm doing air quotes because like I feel like set photos kind of accidentally get out sometimes and sometimes they don't. But when it comes to the big movies, it seems like they're quote accidental. Anyway, you want to build excitement and get people talking about it and be in the news so that people don't forget you. You want to stay relevant and up until that release date so you can get pre-order sale tickets, blah, blah, blah. The bad thing is, I think this, like Venom is the prime example. They like teased, they were going to release the teaser trailer by showing you this, like the really vague Venom poster, which is like the shadowy white eyes and like the scribbly teeth for Venom. And just like Venom. That promo art, which didn't really give us anything on the poster, was to tease a teaser trailer, which is like just a trailer that's gonna like keep you going until you see more of a trailer, which a trailer for a movie is made to show you what you could get out of the movie. And then watching the movie is consuming the movie. It feels like we're building way too much up on these movies. Like they even did it in the comic books. They said, stick around for the Easter egg at the end of the issue. And it's a head scratcher. It's so bad that they think Easter eggs are like end credit scenes are so important that they're in a comic book now. And the overhyping of a movie, it's oversaturating to me. It gets you almost burnt out. And I try to actively not watch all the trailers for all the movies that I'm excited about or that I think could be good. Like I'm probably gonna see most Marvel movies, so if I only catch one trailer, I'm good. I don't want to see more because also I feel like they want to cater to everyone, so therefore trailers are now telling everyone the 3 acts of the movie. Like it starts off there's with a hope and dream, middle section there's a confrontation, but you know what, the hero's gonna win at the end, and they're like showing all 3 acts within a trailer, which is like, okay, I just saw the 2.5 minute version of this movie because you showed me all the beats that you're gonna go through. And I think a trailer's point is to tease the tone and what kind of type of things you can expect to get out of it. Like if it's an action movie, you would see an explosion and you'd be like, oh, this is an action movie. But they're not going to show you, like, give you all the context for it so that you can just be like, oh, well, yeah, I know exactly what's going to happen. So we've kind of gone away from that because consumers want to know, maybe consumers want to know, or people think they need guarantees of like, well, I'm not going to go pay for this movie if it's not going to be good. It's like, but then if you see the trailer and then you're like, well, now I know everything. Why do you feel like you're not getting anything else out of the movie? I don't know. I have a lot of opinions on trailers and being burned by them, and having YouTube and Hulu with advertisements. Sometimes I hit mute or I look away during that so I don't get burnt out on all the trailers, especially when it comes to pop culture ones like Star Wars and the Marvel movies, all these like superhero movies. They tease the teaser and then they do vignettes of characters and then they have leaked photos and magazine spreads, and it kind of gets you worn out on seeing the movie by the time you see the movie. The hype cycle, it's too much for me now. And so like I get why it's there and the benefits of trying to spread and reach new people, remind people that it's there, but to me, there's an oversaturation, and that's very prevalent in this, like using a poster to tease the teaser trailer, which then comes out, and then there's more trailers that are just going to show more and more and more of the movie. No, I don't need it. I'm done with it. And I think we can vote. The way we can vote is just like not clicking on trailers and not watching them, or not trying to follow the hype cycle of that in magazines and media. If we don't buy that stuff, it tells the people making it that, oh, they don't want all these things. You're like, that isn't the way to get to them. The problem with that is the majority of us still want to click it and see it, and it makes it hard for that change to happen. Eventually, I think it will. I think it's the nature of the beast of movies is you run, you just keep piling on until it becomes too big to stack, and then you rebuild with whatever works to promote the next time. So that was me just ranting about trailers and my opinion for way too long, because I don't know if it'll change. I appreciate it. If you also agree with me, let me know by tweeting at that Logan or following me on Twitter or Instagram at that Logan. You can also send me your questions via thepaperrobots@gmail.com. And you can follow the Paper Robots on Twitter at @paper_robots. Tweet, DM me if you have questions. We'll try to catch those in further episodes. We can talk more about movie trailers, movies, the comic book industry. You can ask me what you want to know, what you want to see, and etc. I'm going to wrap this up by talking about what I'm working on, what I'm consuming, and we're going to end this episode. So, creative updates for me. Beard and Frog, I am currently formatting it. I plan to release it digitally for listeners and viewers like you to read through. There's a couple different online platforms for comic book consumption. Once it's up and once I have it formatted, I will be releasing it so that you guys can read. Y'all can read it for free through the internet. And then if you ever want to own it, I'm going to be working on doing a collected version for sale at Comic Cons and online also. And then it's kind of a way for me to experiment with webcomics with a comic I've already worked on, and maybe launching a webcomic exclusive through a platform that I decided that I enjoyed. Also, so on top of that, I have the horror anthology, which is taking its time. Steven and I are still working on it. It's Steven's first comic book, and it's my first time working with him. So we're just kind of figuring out our beats and how to talk to each other and communicate with the comic. And it's it's 4 to 5 short stories. It's going to be really cool. It's called Shuttervale, and it's, for me, I was writing from the themes of horror, and love as the theme for this horror anthology. And I'm very excited to share it. So as soon as there's more release date information, I will let you know. But I will tease that there's a werewolf story in there. So look forward to Werewolf Story and a couple other ones. Then I'm still working on a pitch for the Creators for Creators grant. If you go to creatorsforcreators.org, you can look up how to submit if you're a fellow comic book creator. And if you're working with a team like I am, you just have to include that information. It's a grant that gives you, I believe it's $30,000, and it's so that you might not necessarily have to have a day job, and you and your team can focus on making a book and getting published for the first time ever. It's something I'm really working hard to get out there and at least pitch, and we'll see what happens. I would love for positive feedback, if nothing else. I mean, constructive feedback, I should say, not necessarily positive. And then, working on this, collaboration is key, and feedback. So I have my artist working with me on the script and talking to me about what's working and what feels like it's not working. And then I'm trying to really finesse the pitch so it sounds tight, but it gets everything across, and it's exactly for what the submission guidelines are asking for. And it's a really interesting process, because I think with my other self-published books, I just talk to an artist and I have this conversation. We DM each other. We have these back and forths, and I can kind of talk through them through the whole process. But when we're pitching, you have to say, hey, who's your target audience? It's kind of things in a way I haven't looked at necessarily with my other books, because I'm just like, well, I'm self-publishing it. I'm putting it out no matter what. My audience will find me, but I'm not actively thinking about those things at first. And so it's been really, really interesting. One thing I have noticed is working currently on all these different books is like clutter. Having a cluttered brain is my problem, because I'm working on the horror anthology, Beard and Frog, this Creators for Creators, and I have like 4 other ideas that pop into my head and I get excited about. And it's like finding your time and avenues for focus so that you actually work on certain things and not just scatterbrained all day. But that's the good part about learning is you talk to people and you learn what works and how to make everything work for you, especially when you have deadlines. Deadlines are key to finding out how to finish something, because it forces you to like, I only got so many hours in a day and this needs to get finished. So that's been a lot of fun and a little bit of frustration. Lastly, what I am consuming. There's no questions this week. Sorry, really quick. No questions this week. We'll get back into listener questions next week. Like I said, thepaperrobots@gmail.com. If you want to send me your questions on life, writing comic books, making comic books, working with people, not working with people, how to sleep less in your life. Just send me anything. I'd love to chat, or what you think you would want to hear about. Y'all are great. Lastly, let's get into what I am consuming. So I play the game Threes a lot on my phone. It came out years ago on iPhone, and you just match numbers and you slide it around, and just like mindless thinking. So if it's like slow at work, or if I'm on my break, I should say, if it's slow during the day, or like I'm just like so cluttered after work and coming home, it's my unwind game. It's my little like think about stuff in the background while you're just swiping away on your dumb phone. And it's better than just scrolling through Facebook to me, because then I'm not looking at other people's lives and judging myself. I'm just playing Threes, man. I'm reading Runaways currently. That's kind of my only issue, like series issue book I'm grabbing. Otherwise, I'm grabbing trades to read. I just read Tokyo Ghost, Volume 1. It's really good. God, I love Rick Remender and Sean Murphy. Their collaboration is awesome. They do really cool, grungy, dirty worlds and great writing. So reading Volume 1 of that was really awesome. If you have the chance, I say pick up Tokyo Ghost. It's good. I'm using my Fitbit. I'm using this Fitbit right here, the Fitbit Ionic. And I had the Fitbit Charge 2. I used that for like a year. You wear it on your wrist and it counts your steps and it makes you go like, hey, hey Logan, you've been sitting there a while. Why don't you go walk? Why don't you go take a walk? Why don't you see the light? And that's really cool. It's a good reminder for me to be a little more healthy. But I mostly just use it as a watch. It tells me the time, tells me the date, the day, the weather. It also, if I have my phone in my pocket or like at work, if I have my phone at my pocket or in my backpack, it'll just notify me if I have a missed call or if I get a text, and I can read it. I can't reply, which kind of sucks, but I can read it and then just be like, oh yeah, like I'll think about how I'm gonna reply later. And so I kind of like that it notifies me sometimes. So I'm enjoying it. I'll have more by the end of this year. Looking at 2018, I really want to talk about using it and how it's been for a year, and if it's improved my life, if it's made me fit like Hugh Jackman or not, or like Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec. We'll find out. You will find out as well, because you'll see it on my face in the video. Then I watched Cars 3 because I am a giant man baby. Hence there being no beard right now. I shaved my beard because I wanted to look 15 again. No, actually, I shaved it because I hadn't done it in like 3 years, like taking it all the way down. So I just wanted to do that. But then now I just look like a tiny little kid. So I watched Cars 3 and I enjoyed it. It's a movie. It was on Netflix, so I watched it. I watched The Girl with All the Gifts, which is like a zombie movie. I don't want to spoil anything. It's really good. I liked it a lot. It's well filmed, and I think it was a unique zombie movie. And Cynthia and I watched it. We enjoyed it. Thought it was a thumbs up good time. And I would recommend not a good time. It's about zombies and sad end of the world stuff. It's not that good of a time, but it's fun to watch. Last, I watched Fred Armisen's Stand Up for Drummers. And look, if you like Fred Armisen, if you like Portlandia, you're going to like this stand-up. He talks about musicians. And like having been in a band, a lot of the humor I liked. It was funny that he kind of plays up band drama, like what it's like being a drummer, what it's like collaborating, as well as just other jokey jokes. It was good stuff. Also on Netflix, recommend it. Lastly, Brian Fallon dropped a new CD. He is the lead singer, frontman of Gaslight Anthem, and they're on tour for like their 10th anniversary for 59 Sound. I believe is what they're on tour for. Oh man, I'm gonna get someone's gonna correct me. But Brian Fallon released a new solo album, and I just started listening to it, and it's great. It's more Brian Fallon. It's what I want. It's great. That and the Black Panther soundtrack are what are in my ear holes these days currently, and I'll keep you up to date with what I think about other music and give you some recommendations. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. If you enjoyed listening to this or watching this, you can rate it if you want. But I just encourage you to share it with someone who might also enjoy it. And I'll make more and more episodes. I'm actually currently working on doing bite-sized episodes focusing on getting started in comics, from my experience. It's things I've learned, what I would do again, what I did to make my first books, and how I did it. So it's very subjective to my experience in comics and where I came from and where I'm going. But I just wanted to share that in case there's anything you can learn from my mistakes and my dumb face. And if I can make comics, it means anyone else can do it. So I would encourage storytellers to make stories and creators create stuff. So go ahead and share this if you enjoyed it. Thank you all for listening. Have a great one. See you later. Bye. Bye, 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 bye.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer of Andrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.